Hello and welcome to the first episode of Talkin Tunes. This is the weekly-ish show where me, Renz, I'm just going to talk tunes with you guys. We'll talk about any music news, we'll talk about releases, we'll just talk about anything cool that's happening in the world of music, probably more specifically rock and roll, I will admit, but music in general that's happened and things that have been in my mind that I just want to share with you guys. So, without further ado, in this first episode we're going to be covering EODM releasing a Christmas album, Rammstein's lead singer Till Lindemann being arrested and interrogated by the Russian secret police, and Ghost, the best band ever, teasing pretty heavily that we've got some new material on the way pretty soon. So, to kick us off, Eagles of Death Metal have just announced that they're going to be releasing a Christmas album. It's going to be named A Boots Electric Christmas, which makes sense given Jesse Hughes' moniker of Boots Electric. It's going to feature, I believe, 6 songs, including at least 2 covers of Oh Holy Night, so that's an interesting one. I believe one of them is going to be fully a cappella, whilst the other one is more of a full band type thing. I also have read that Josh Homme will be featured in this album, which is quite nice to hear, because I don't think he had a lot to do with the previous covers album they put out, which was in 2019, and that was EODM Presents Boots Electric performing the best songs we never wrote. Practice saying that 10 times fast. But yeah, Josh Homme, I believe, not really involved in that one. It wasn't a bad album. Not the brand new original content that we'd like to hope that the Eagles will be bringing for us. So I guess it's nice to know that they're still working together, and I'm hopefully maybe plugging away at another full album, because it has been, at this point, 6 years since Zipper Down, their last full studio album, which with it in itself came with its own set of complexities after the Bataclan attacks. This announcement was released with a tweet from Jesse Hughes himself saying something along the lines of, "Just a few songs to warm your heart during the Christmas time. I hope you like them. May Christmas bring peace to you all. Happy Hanukkah. Merry Christmas. Happy holidays. I love you and God bless you all." So, seems like a nice sentiment. He's a very strange and interesting man, that Jesse Hughes. I know that a lot of people really soured on him after some of the things he said after the Bataclan attack. If you were offended by any of that stuff, what I would recommend you do is maybe just give the Vice documentary about Jesse a chance. It's not particularly long, and it is extraordinarily interesting. That man is an utter character, I guess is one way of putting it. Simultaneously a gun-tooting redneck cowboy, and on the other side a drug-smoking, hippie-loving hippie. So, interesting character is Jesse Hughes. We'll see. Hopefully he can make a bit more of a triumphant return. I did see them a couple of years ago, and they were really very good, and he did convey a lot of love. So maybe this is the beginning of him getting back in the good graces of the general population. They did also announce, Eagles of Death Metal, that there would be a tour next year, which is nice. I actually think I've already snagged myself some tickets. I believe they're doing Europe and America, so that is good. I would imagine the chances of catching Josh at any of these are probably pretty low, but if you do get a chance to snag some of those tickets, I would recommend it. The house band he plays with are always very, very good. The energy and the love, it tends to be pretty strong at those shows, and surprisingly enough, the crowd are usually very, very nice. So, I guess we'll just see how much more of more material we end up getting out of the Eagles of Death Metal. Every time they release something new, I just tend to, be grateful that they're still in operation, because I do live in constant fear that Josh Homme is eventually just going to become too big for them. But, that being said, hasn't happened yet, and Queens of the Stone Age have definitely already hit the apex of their career, so maybe if that doesn't break it, nothing will. Secondly on the list, we have got Rammstein's lead singer Till Lindemann being arrested by the Russian secret police, along with his manager, I might add, but for apparently different things. So this is a very strange and controversial story, I guess. With so Till went to Russia last month, I believe, on a visa intended to be done for tourist stuff. So I believe he was only meant to be allowed. He wasn't allowed to conduct business. Same applies for his manager, and the manager was apparently, according to the Russian police, we have not had a statement from Rammstein or Till yet, so we don't know completely both sides of the story, but apparently this manager was meant to be there for a holiday and had actually started going around trying to make bookings for a gig later on in Russia in that year, which from what I understand, the Russians weren't too happy about for a couple of reasons. One of them being that I don't think they are liking the sounds of public gatherings quite that big, quite this soon. It's kind of difficult to tell how they're doing with the whole pandemic thing, but apparently not well enough that they're willing to let a Rammstein gig happen. But then Till, on the other hand, was arrested supposedly for, again music-relatedly, trying to play at a festival with 500,000 people there. Apparently that was his plan. That was why he was in Russia, and the FSB, I believe it is now, and apparently must have cottoned onto this, and they arrested him, took him into prison, and did interrogate him for an extended period of time. The last word on this that I've heard is that apparently he will be facing a potential lifetime ban from entering the country, which is interesting because I believe Rammstein are actually on the list of having one of the largest gigs of all time with over 1 million people there, and I do think that actually did occur at a Russian festival. So a little bit of interesting heritage there. This is off the back of Richard Kruspe. I believe that's how you say it. I'm not fantastic with my German pronunciation. Richard Kruspe. That sounds right. Either way, he is the guitarist for, one of the guitarists, one of the many guitarists from Rammstein. He lives in America now. I believe that was a little bit of a sticking point for them for a while, but if you hear him in interviews, he comes across as a very soft-spoken, very mild-mannered, very nice man, somewhat like John 5, where his sort of like rock star persona is very much covering up for a quite intellectual and doesn't seem like very talkative individual. But either way, he's just released a new album called Persistence of Memory, so feel free to go and check that one out too. And from what I understand, Flacker Renz, the keyboard player and founder of Rammstein, announced that they were in the process of recording an album due to the lockdown. They had to cancel their 2021 tour for obvious reasons, and they had spent that time in lockdown, so maybe there'll be some new Rammstein material soon, which would be pretty great. So, yeah. Hopefully they don't try and book any shows in Russia anytime soon, because I don't think you're going to be getting that show. So in other news, Ghost, one of my personal favourite bands, have just announced their first tour since the pandemic, which is very exciting news. Unfortunately for us in the UK, it is currently only a US tour, and they have announced that they will be touring with the band Volbeat, which is an interesting choice, but I tend to respect the things that Ghost select to go follow up with them, so that should be good. This is their first show since 2019, when they had a show in Mexico City where they announced the new Papa. They very dramatically killed off a character, they brought in the new costume, it was all looking very exciting, and that was one of the last live shows, I think probably in the world to have occurred before the pandemic. I have heard that maybe it might have been a super spreader event for Mexico, but we'll not talk about that one so much. But it is exciting news. They have been talking about how he was going to be in the studio for the last year or so, more or less, because it is kind of a solo project when it comes to the writing of the album, at least from Tobias Forge. So good to see that he has apparently started to tease some new things. So they put up a new video on YouTube. It was a Zoom call between Sister Imperator and Papa, where they revealed that Papa has a new mask, slightly different variation on the face paint. There's no nose paint anymore. But they have made his nose a little bigger. They've made his chin a little bigger. The entire thing of the Papa mask for this album cycle seems to have changed just a smidge. Not much useful information in that video, other than the fact that they're up and running and producing more content. So that's nice to hear. This is off the back of them releasing a cover as part of the Metallica anniversary album, which a myriad, if you will, of other rock bands, from Cage the Elephant to the Hu, H-U, not quite sure how you say them, the Mongolian band, releasing covers of Metallica songs. In that one we had an Enter Sandman cover by Ghost, which was very good if you like that kind of thing. I really did enjoy what they did with that song, one of the better ones on that album, so clearly getting back into the writing style of things. So that's pretty good. This is their first release since Prequel, which came out in 2018. Other than the EP they put out after that, 20 Inches of Satanic Panic, which I will admit must rank up there as one of the greatest album names of all time, in my opinion. 20 Inches of Satanic Panic, very clever, works on multiple levels, and it's rude. But I did like the direction they're going with that. There was some interesting stuff where they put up the first new merchandise on their online store in a long time, and it was Egyptian themed. Don't quite know if that actually means anything. I'm a little bit of an Egyptian fan myself. I quite like that kind of stuff, and Mummy Dust is a great song. So if they're gonna, go away from maybe the trending of the rats and the plague and all of that being the theme for a prequel, maybe there's going to be some sort of Egyptian-y theme for the next one, because the t-shirts were Egyptian-y themed. But that being said, Ghost have also had a reputation for putting out t-shirts with references for every franchise under the sun, from Nosferatu to Jaws. So, take everything with a grain of salt, I will say. But exciting stuff, so we'll keep you informed anytime any new Ghost information comes out. And finally, this week we'll leave you with Tune of the Week. And this is just the song that I happen to have found myself recently be obsessed with, and this actually does link in to this Ghost news. So the first thing I did after I saw that they had announced this tour was that I googled Volbeat. I'd heard their name, wasn't quite sure if it would be my thing or not, so we had a little look, went on YouTube, and the first song that I clicked on was this song, Die to Live, with a collaboration from Neil Fallon from Clutch. Clutch, also one of my favourite bands, so was not expecting that to be much of a crossover, and I will say that song slaps. It's not very long, 2.5 minutes. It's really, really fast energy, some sort of clever boogie woogie. From what I understand, it's not actually too typical of a Volbeat song. A little bit more kind of classic rock and roll-y. It breaks down halfway through with the sort of keyboard lines, and there's a saxophone in there. They say boogie woogie a few times, which in my sort of slightly later delving into Volbeat doesn't appear to be much of a recurring theme for them, so that's interesting. But that song, Die to Live, cannot recommend it enough. Hit it up, I'll leave a link for it in the description for this video. Thank you very much for watching Talking Tunes with me, Renz. Hopefully this will become a recurring thing. If people like it, I'll obviously be messing with the format over the coming weeks, but I get so enthusiastic with so much of this musical news and content, and I spent a long time following these bands, and I just felt like it would be a good place to have an outlet to share my enthusiasm and hopefully give you guys some more things to listen to and talk about. So thank you very, very much everyone for listening. I will see you at some point soon. Gah!